In our last class, we started the topic on telecommunications, and I mentioned that the learning outcomes are to explain telecommunications and associated tools, as well as to reflect or write a reflection note on computer networking, which I mentioned that reflection notes, when I say that, it is a technical term that you can find in your CA or your final exam. And whenever you find it, it carries some responsibility, or it shows us some responsibility on you. So today, in just a recap of what we did, in our last class, we defined telecommunication in education. And then our definition encompasses the fact that telecommunication is a process of sending information in any form from one place to another, utilizing electronic or light emitting media. So, and then we said it encompasses a vast network of technologies and the systems designed to connect individuals and devices across the globe, with the main purpose of facilitating instantaneous communication, that is, simultaneous communication, communication that happens instantly without restriction on the geographical location or restriction on the time. So this was the primary purpose. And then we also mentioned that technology has fundamentally changed the way we interact with each other. Just look at the one we are doing now. We're having a lesson using electronic gadgets, telecommunication, and then this is different from the kind of experience we have in the physical classroom. So it has actually changed the way we interact, making the world feel smaller and more interconnected. Okay, so in education, of course, telecommunication has revolutionized the way we teach. So the way we teach, the way we go about our business in education, it has drastically been changed by telecommunication. This especially in the case of barrier in the geographical locations and wherever we are. And we have some tools that we use, which we explained this in class, so I will just run through them. And then we mentioned some benefits of telecommunication, like access to large amount of information, global interconnectivity, and overcoming the barriers and the geographical location. And we said that telecommunication also comes with some challenges. Like, for instance, especially in education, it may be difficult to replicate the physical classroom with telecommunication. The kind of interaction we used to have physically might be difficult a little bit if it comes to the use of the internet. And then we also have some challenges related to technical issues. There could also be some technical difficulties when it comes to the use of the telecommunication. All right. And then we also mentioned the fact that despite these challenges, the benefit of telecommunication actually outweighs the challenges. All right. And then we move straight to the electronic means of transmitting information. And we started with the olden days methods through which people transmit information, like the use of fax machine. So this we described this in our last class, but unfortunately you could not see this picture. I think this is better off now when you are using internet to follow this class. Okay. Thereafter, we'll speak about the telex. That the telex is also an olden days use of technology in transmitting information from one place to another. And this is a picture of a telex. Then we mentioned television and radio, that these are what we know. They don't need introduction, as well as the telephone that everybody's having at least one or two. Okay, then we mentioned the satellite communication as a modern method of transmitting information. And this is a kind of how satellite works, from the receptor to the transmitter. through the space. I mean, the space where the satellite is actually hung, and we have the internet for the transmission, and another antenna for the transmission, and another antenna for the receiver. So the main gist behind the internet, the satellite, is the fact that you have this already put in the space. Okay. And then still on the modern, we have the email address, I mean, email communication. We have the social media that quite a number of you have different accounts with different companies. And then we have the SMS, the text instant messages, the WhatsApp, Skype, and so on. Then we also have the video conferencing, like the Zoom we are using for this particular lesson, or the Google Meet, and some other examples that you can have. Then we mentioned the file sharing, like that of the Dropbox or the Google Drive. These are some of the things that we use, and this is a picture of them, different companies, and then different platforms through which you can have this video conferencing and file sharing. Okay, so then we also mentioned the cloud storage, where you can store your data on the cloud instead of putting it in your phone. For instance, your contacts, your phone contacts, you can store it on your email address in the cloud. If your phone got spoiled or it got missing, you can get a new phone, and then by the time you log in with your email on the new phone, you can synchronize your contacts. So this is a very fantastic way of managing our contact by storing it in the cloud. So I mentioned this, and these are some of the opportunities available for you. Some of them are completely free, while some of them you have the basic version for free, and then you are going to pay for the professional version. So then I gave you some of these questions as an assignment for you to work on. I want to believe that you are submitting the assignment latest today, and if there is any challenges, we can talk about it towards the end of the class. Okay, so today we shall talk about modes of receiving information. Modes of receiving information, or you call it methods of receiving information. So what are these medium or media through which we can receive information, or we can send information? So for someone that is not hearing perhaps the problem with your phone or with your volume, just check your volume, or you check your internet connectivity. But I think it is okay with everybody. There are many different modes of receiving information. It could be through sight, through sound, through touch and taste, like we have in the olden days, where you see smoke close to where you've agreed that you put a smoke where if there is any important information for your people in the community, then you know, okay, there is a piece of information. Or the sound, like when you beat a drum for calling the attention of people. So these are different ways through which we send information in the olden days, but each of these has its advantages and disadvantages. And the most effective mode of receiving information nowadays often depends on the context and specific needs of the individual. So we have the audio. So you can actually receive information through audio by making sounds. And the advantage is that you can be doing something else while listening to the audio. You can listen to your radio while you are doing something, you are washing plate or you are cooking something, but you can listen to the radio, or you listen to important information while you are doing something else. So multitasking is an advantage of using audio as a means of receiving information. You can be driving and be listening to a lecture. You can be driving and be listening to a class. It is also possible. So this is also possible when you are receiving audio information. Okay. So, but the advantage is that you have some disadvantages, in which one of them is the fact that it depends. It is dependent on hearing ability. If you're having hearing impairment, if you cannot hear very well, okay, you are going to run into trouble when it comes to receiving information only through the audio. So this is challenging, especially for people that has hearing impairment. So another mode through which you can receive information is through visual. the showing of pictures, of moving pictures. So this allows processing at one's face, effective for referencing. In the olden days, when you have an important occasion, when you have a party, you take pictures and you have album that you put these pictures in the album. So when they have weddings, they collect a lot of pictures and put them in album. So if you visit them after the wedding, they will just be, if whether you attend the wedding or you don't attend the wedding, they will be eager to show you the album. That look at the album of my wedding, and you'll be flipping through these pictures one after the other. Okay, so this allows you to look at it at your own face without being rushed, at your own speed, and then you it is better than the audio in the sense that if it is the audio, you may not see the picture, you may not feel it, as the case may be. But again, the visual as well also has its advantage in the sense that if you're having visual impairments, because it requires you to see the picture and be able to identify colors, to be able to differentiate one face from the other. But if you're having problem with your eyes, you cannot see something from far or something from there, then you may run into trouble when you are using only visual for communication. Okay. So another one is to use the audio visual. What if we combine both the ability of the potential of the audio with the potential of the visual? What can we get? We have the audio visual, and this is the most common modes of communication these days, in which simultaneously you will be hearing and at the same time you will be seeing moving pictures. This is when you watch videos. And it is more engaging these days because this generation is the generation of moving pictures. Okay? But again, it does not come with a challenge too. There's a challenge to it because it requires both the visual literacy and the audio literacy. You should be able to hear well and you should be able to see well if you are dealing with audio visual. Okay, and for the touch and the taste, you have the contextual effectiveness. This is less common these days. Okay, because now we are into the digital era. So, but you can touch some things. You can touch the texture. If you are given the sound, if you are given sound and maybe something rough, then when you touch it, you feel, okay, this is not what I expect. This is not the powder I'm looking for. This is something more sharper than the powder, even without tasting it. Okay, so that is on the modes of receiving information. So what we have just spoken about basically is that the receiving information requires you to pass through some media or to pass through some modes, which can be through audio, digital information, or through visual, or through audio visual. And we also have the traditional way, like the touching, like the tasting, or like the perceiving the flavor. So that is on the modes. Then we talk about something very interesting in the electronics, which we call the modulation basics. I mean, the modulation. What is modulation? Again, this has to do with transferring data, transferring information from one point to another. But when we are transferring this digital data, we need to pass through some kind of technical things or technical stuff, which we call modulation. And in essence, modulation is the process of changing some characteristics of a carrier wave by the intensity of the signal. You are sending, as I'm speaking to you now, there are a lot of modulation going on. I speak to the microphone of my computer in front of me, where that is converted into some signals that is sent through waves, and then it gets to your own electronic, your phone or your laptop, as don't know how you are joining us. So it gets to your phone or your laptop, and that converted back to what you're gonna hear. So there is modulation going on, the pitch, the frequency, the amplitude, and the phase at which I speak. It is altered. By the time it is transferred in the air, once it gets back to you, then it is converted back to a nature of it through which you can understand. So this process of changing the characteristics of the signal is what we call the modulation. And these are basically on the amplitude of the wave, the frequency of the wave, and the angle, which we call the phase angle. Okay. The purpose of changing the characteristics, the purpose is just changing the characteristics of a carrier wave based on the signal intensity, and it enables transmission at high frequency while carrying audio signals. Okay. Now, like we mentioned, the amplitude, the frequency, and the phase, this actually leads to the three types of modulation. So we have the amplitude modulation, we have the frequency modulation, and we have the phase modulation. But in essence, what is amplitude in the first instance? Is the maximum height of a wave. I will show you very soon when you draw a sine wave. And in fact, the signal is actually in the sine wave. For those of you who did physics in secondary school, you might have come across sine wave, cosine wave in your physics. And also, so for those of you who did mathematics to a greater level, you might have come to drawing sine curve or drawing cosine curve, tangent curve, and so on and so forth. So what we talk about there is just the wave. I mean, how the sine function behaves when you draw it. So the amplitude is the height, okay, of a wave from its central line. I will show you a picture of it very soon. And it measures how intense or how loud the wave is. For example, a sine wave with a high amplitude is louder than a sine wave with a low amplitude. And for the frequencies, about the number of cycles or the number of oscillations of a wave per unit time. It measures how fast or frequent the wave is. Remember, amplitude is how loud, but the frequency is how fast. For example, a light wave with a high frequency has a shorter wavelength and a high energy than a light wave with low frequency. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the phase angle. Sorry, a little distraction here. Yeah, go to your mommy. All right. So I'll talk about the phase is the position or angle of a wave on a wave cycle that is relative to the reference point. So it measures how much a wave is shifted or delayed from another wave. At times, you may be making a call or you are listening to radio. You will find out that there is a gap between when the person speaks and when you hear. So that gap, it was brought about by the phase angle. That is, there is no match between the phase angle of the sender of the information and the receiver of the information. So there is a delay. Okay, so take note of this. And this leads to the three types of modulation: the amplitude modulation, the frequency modulation, and then the phase modulation. And then I think I have a picture here for you. So in this picture, we have a carrier wave and then we have a modulated wave. So this is a normal sine curve. The one at the top is a normal sine curve. And then you have the carrier signal, which is here. But when you now modulate it using amplitude modulation, you can notice that the carrier signal, it turns to red up here. And then the height of this trove, look at the height. Now it has changed. In the carrier wave, there is a uniform height. But when it comes to the amplitude modulated wave, the height is now distorted. So what we have done here is to modulate the carrier wave in such a way that the height of the wave is now altered. So when you modulate like this, you said you have modulated the amplitude, the height. Good. Then again, we'll talk about the frequency modulation. The first one up here is actually the ordinary sine wave. And the second one again is the carrier wave. But now when you look at the frequency modulated wave, you can see the difference. Because in the number of cycles that this particular, by the way, when we say cycle, we are talking of look at where my cursor is, and then you move up like this, you move down, and then you get back to the base. This is a cycle. So when you count the number of cycles in this carrier wave, you can see that they are more than the number of cycles in the frequency modulated wave. So that means that this modulated frequency is going to be slower compared to the carrier wave. So take note of that. And then we have lastly the phase modulation, where we have again the ordinary sine wave, the unmodulated wave, and then we have the carrier signal. And by the time we modulate it now, you can see there is a mismatch in the angle with which this particular wave has formed as compared to the carrier wave. So these are the three types of modulation we have and how we can use them to our advantage in telecommunication. Then we move to introduction to computer networks. Can we network our computer together? Can we connect computer to another? How can we do this? And I think by the time we finish this section, we are going to pause a little bit to hear from you some comments or some questions before we proceed. So for career, for the networks, computer networks are interconnected systems ranging from small setups sharing resources to large networks like the internet. By the way, our next topic is on the internet. So in this particular room that I project this class, I'm having two computers in front of me. So one is connected to the other in such a way that one is giving you the video while the other one is giving you the slides. So you can see how I have connected two computers together to make this class happen. And again, through the use of this Zoom, I can see about 50 of you now in the class. So I've connected 50 students or even more. Perhaps some of you are sitting 3 together watching a single phone or 3 together watching a laptop. So now you can see we can have a kind of interconnection of all of us using the computers. So the process of doing this is actually the networking. So computer networks are interconnected systems, okay, of computers ranging from one small setup like in my room alone or a bigger network like the internet. Then the purpose. Networks facilitate communication between connected computers and the sharing of resources. So now, in these two systems that I'm working with, as I'm pressing the first one, you are seeing the visual on the second one, likewise I'm also saying it. While as I speak, the second one is giving you the picture of myself, okay, through the process of speaking with you. So both of them, they are working hand in hand to give you a good experience of the class. So what again you can do? Some components of a network. In a network, you need some components. One of them being server. This is a very fundamental aspect when you talk about networking. You need a server, some kind of computer that serves as the base through which all other computers are networked, are connected. So the function of it is high-speed machines running. By the way, when we say machines here, we actually mean computers. High-speed computers running the network operating system, providing various services. So among the services you can have in server is user management, security, file storage, and system management. This is a server. And this is a picture of a server. This is a picture of a typical server. By the way, I want to believe the class rep is in class. By next week, if she's not here, others can pass the information down to her and then she should share it. By next week, Thursday, we shall have a kind of outdoor activity, so to say. I've written to the director of the ICICT in the university, and he has given us the approval to visit the data center. So by next week, Thursday, during our class time, we are going to have a class in the morning, very short class, maybe 30 minutes. Then from there, we will move down to the data center to see the ABU server. Are you okay with this? So I'm going to communicate again the information later on. But now, since I'm on server, that reminds me. So next week, Thursday, we shall visit the ABU data center to see the almighty ABU server. So by that time, hopefully, we will be able to interact. We'll be able to interact with the staff of the MIS. They will show us what the server looks like. Why is it that the server used to go down all the time? You're going to ask these questions from them, and how is our server working? So next week, Thursday, is going to be for that activity, hopefully. Okay, continuation of our note. We also have the workstation as a component in the computer. These are users' personal computers, becoming the user personal computers, becoming network nodes when you connect computers together. When you have two computers in front of you, the number of computers in your network, actually, we call them the workstations. Okay, the role is to perform standalone processing, okay, within the network. Good. And this is the kind of workstation. If you are working in the bank, you see all of them, their computers are connected, they are connected together. Okay? Still on the component, we have the, we have the network interface card. Network interface card is another component in the network. I have a picture of it. So each connected computer needs this interface card. You can connect through the cable or you can use wireless these days. So the purpose is to serve as a communication link between workstations and the entire network. Then we also have the cables. So there are so many cables. We are going to see the cables that they have in the data center next week. Then we have some shared resources like the hard disks, the printers. This doesn't need introduction. Everybody now knows what the printer is. Everybody knows what hard disk is. Even the CDs that we used before of the writer. So we have some characteristics of we have some characteristics of a network. So one of them being the network architecture. Just from the word architecture, architectural drawing, architectural department, you know. So we also have network architecture, and this has to do with the way the computers are arranged or they are laid out in your network to define the layout and the rules of signal transfer. So we can have some classifications like peer-to-peer architecture or client or server architecture. So client server, where there is a single server that is connected to everybody. Okay. Then we also have the protocol as a characteristic of a network. This is a kind of rule, a set of rules guiding how the network is going to operate. So it's a common set of rules and signal for network communication. Examples being the Ethernet, the IBM token ring network, and so on. We are going to ask them next week, Thursday, what do they use in ABU? Just note down these questions, have questions for them. Hopefully we get somebody that is competent to answer our questions. So have your questions for them, and then we'll be able to give them the questions on Thursday. Okay? Then we also have the network topology. This is another thing we consider in the network. The network topology is another characteristics of the network. What do you mean by this? They define the geometric arrangement of computer systems. How do you arrange your computer system geometrically? Okay. And then some examples being the bus, the star, and the ring topology. I think I have a picture of this. So still again on the types of network that we have in the telecommunication. So we have the local area network. So this is within a local area, just as the name implies. So this is within one building or a limited geographical area, like the kind of network they have in the bank. If you enter the UBA bank or you enter the First Bank in Samaru, you will find out that all the computers of the people working in the bank, they are connected together in the same bank. Like from one person's system, they will just send to the printer. They have a single printer that all of them are using. So from anybody's system in the bank, they can send any document to print to the printer. They just go to the printer and pick it up because they have networked their computers to that particular printer. This is a kind of local area network. Then a few computers can be networked and even printers connected to a hub or switches. Advantage being that it's easy to share resources. It is easy to have network administration. But disadvantage is that you can easily spread virus, okay, because all your computers are connected in the same building. By the time your computer is attacked, when you send something to another person, you can also share that virus to the person, and the internet can be slow. Then you also have the metropolitan area network. By the way, still on the area, the local area network, the kind of cafe, maybe you have been to in the olden days, you go to the cafe where all the computers, you can have 50 computers in a cafe, then they are networked together. Okay, that there is one man that used to set the time. You just give him the money, buy the time, then go to your computer and log in with the time. Why? Because the computers, they have been networked together using the local area network. And for the metropolitan area network, this is a bit wider in scope compared to the LAN, in the sense that it requires more connectivity. So like, for instance, we have the ABU intranet. And I think we're going to talk about intranet later this morning. We have the ABU intranet. Only if you are on ABU campus, you can use that particular facility. As soon as you leave ABU campus, you cannot use ABU internet again. So that kind of system is what we call intranet, and it is within a campus. It is metropolitan area network. If you leave ABU campus, you cannot use ABU hotspot. Okay, so because ABU hotspot is what? A metropolitan area network. Okay, while we have the last one being the wide area network, this is where you can connect people from different locations. Okay, you can connect all the branches of First Bank in Nigeria, all their branches. You can connect them together because they use wide area network. We can connect anybody in the world together using what? Wide area network. They focus on more and more people. You have the modems to do the connection. You have the network up. You have the switches. You have the bridges. Then you have the routers to do these connections. Okay. So basically, when we talk about the types of networks, we identify 3 types of networks: the local area network, the metropolitan area network, and the wide area network. So this progresses from small room to a bigger campus and to the whole country or the whole world. Good. So what are now the merits? What can we gain from networking computers? From connecting computers together, what do we gain? What can we gain from them? We talk about the merits. We can easily share resources. It is easy to share resources when you network your computers together. It is easy to collaborate. You can facilitate project collaboration and information sharing. Like later in this course, we are going to have the use of Google Drive, where we will all collaborate. I'm going to provide the link for you with a folder, so any one of you can just go to the folder and drop your own assignment. So this is what we call a collaboration technology, like that of the Google Drive. So it can facilitate the sharing of information easily. Then we also have communication. Another merit of computer networking: it enables digital communication through email, through instant messaging. You can easily communicate. So access to information, again, this has always been merit of any technology. Okay, access to what? Information. It provides access to a vast amount of information, including the internet. Efficient data
But if you
management.
give us assignment, we'll submit it online.
You are submitting your the assignment I gave you last week.
I bet me this one they do for us physical class because you cannot access all these things. See now, Zoom, I've not learned one thing. My next one just they break, they connect, they break, they connect. You want to go use the bucket? Maybe she won't go water now. No.
Okay. So for those of you talking, it is better you be quiet so as to have a decorum. Okay. So yeah. If you have a problem with your network, it is better for you to get a better network so you can see better there. So get a strong network. If the position where you had the network is not good, so you get another place. And hopefully you also get a video recording of this one if there is no interruption throughout the class. I can provide you with the audio. So let's have the demerits of computer networking. So there are also demerits. There are disadvantages. As we have advantages, we also have disadvantages. One being the security risk. So there is a vulnerability of your network to hackers. They can hack your network. So this will necessitate robust security measures to be made. And quite often than not, university websites are being hacked. I don't know what the hackers are looking for in hacking university websites. Most often when you see that the server is down, it might probably be because it has been subjected to what? To hacking. So take note of that. Then there is also cost implication. There's cost in setting up and maintaining network. It's very expensive. And that is what you are going to hear on Thursday when we go to the data center. They will tell you how much. You can ask them that question. How much does it take to maintain the server? Then you will have a feel of how expensive it is to maintain a server. To give you 24/7 connectivity, what does it take the university to do that? So you are going to ask them. Hopefully, you will get your right answer there. But then also complexity. At times, it requires specialized training for setup and management. This is another aspect through which one needs to be very careful when it comes to the use of the computer networking. It could be complex. Then interconnected system depends on one another. If there is a break in one movement, then it will affect the whole of the network. If the server is down or a broken cable somewhere, it will affect the whole of the network. Then there's also this privacy concerns. Somebody can just steal your data. They can take data from you and then use it for mischievous act. This is another demerit of networking your computer. Okay. So at this point, we have some questions again, where I would like you to think through one after the other. Then after this, we are going to have a short break where you can tell me more about your internet connectivity, and then we see how we can find solutions to those things. So the very first question here is, explain the concepts and significance of computer networks. It's a very nice question. Ranging from small setup to large scale networks like the internet. What is the concept behind it and what is the significance of it? Number two, discuss the functions of servers, workstation, and network interface cards, cable, and shared resources. How do these components contribute to the seamless functioning of a network? It's a very nice question and a very specific question. I can just leave the question as discuss the functions of network components. But now being specific is to, number one, restrict you from saying unnecessary things I don't want. And again, to also direct you towards what is required of you in this question. Take note. Another one is explore the key characteristics defining computer networks. What are the characteristics? Including architecture, protocol, and topology. Now, this is another relief for you. The question can stop at explore the key characteristics defining computer networks. Therefore, it's to be simpler. For making this question simpler, I also included some of the things I want you to talk about when I mention the characteristics by saying architecture, protocol, and topology. So number 4 is to differentiate between the local area network, metropolitan area network, and wide area network. This is a very simple question that you can just do in just few sentences. Then we also have the next question that says, explore the challenges of computer networking, including security risk, cost implications, and privacy concerns. Provide insight into mitigating these challenges. Look at this question. The question can simply stop at explore the challenges of computer networking. But to make this simpler for you, I became specific by saying security risk, cost implications, and privacy what? Concerns. These are the 3 aspects I want you to explore the challenges of computer networking. Don't bring a 4th one. Then provide insight into how you can mitigate these challenges. That is how you can overcome these challenges. The last question, of course, is explain the modulation process and its role in carrying audio signals. Part A of the question. Part B says, discuss the types of modulation, including amplitude, frequency, and phase modulation and their application. This is another simple question. I can just stop as discuss the types of modulation. But making this question simpler for you to address, I reminded you of the different types of motivation. What is left a modulation? What is left for you now is just to explain. It's just to discuss. Okay? Now I've given you the types: amplitude, frequency, and phase. Now discuss. Okay? So take note of this when you have this type of questions in your exam. So let me give you 2 minutes to look at these questions before we move to the next section of the note. And for those of you that want to talk now, you can unmute yourself and then have a small interaction before we proceed.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
The assignment you gave us, what you do of submitting the assignment.
Can you say that again?
We're not able to access the module.
You are not able to access the module?
Yeah.
Why?
Because for some people, it is us or they are logging. Some the website is not even open.
The website is not even it's not opening.
For myself, for some they said their login details were saying incorrect. But that was
for yourself, what happens to you? Were you able to log in?
The site was not opening.
For you, the site was not opening. And when the site opened for some people, the login details was bouncing them back.
Exactly.
Yeah. To log in is simply to use the your portal, your username, that is your registration number. Okay.
Yes,
and then the password is the your portal password.
Yes, I think
Sir, that is exactly what we use, the reg number and the portal password, and it's still showing invalid login details.
How could that be?
I even screen recorded while I'm doing it and forwarded to class rep. That's what it's showing. I tried more than 20 times.
Wow.
I even tried this morning before joining the class.
It's still not working.
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe there's a problem with them. I don't know. And though I'm able to log in now, the module is going. I can just I've seen it is opening on my phone, and I'm able to log in with my own username and password. So I don't know what could have happened to you guys for not being able to log in.
Probably just send the link. Probably you can drop it in this chat. The link that you are using to open it. Maybe there's a problem with
it. It's the same link, module.abu.edu.ng. I think this is how it is spelled. So this is I put it in the chat. Then let me just stop sharing the screen. Then we all see this together. So. Okay. Now I want to believe that you are seeing. Yeah. So it's all about module. Let's see if the network is okay on the system as well. It is not accessible on my computer as well, but I can access it on the phone. So for those of you that are in class now, and you can check it on your phone, it's accessible on my phone, but on the computer it is not reachable.
Okay, sir.
So, but the same link, yeah, it's not accessible. So, to save you, it is opening on my phone. Yeah, to save you from meeting or missing the deadline, you can send it to my email address at yahoo.com. You have it, but I'm sending it again. So I've just sent you my email address. ZAFEY23@yahoo.com. Okay, so you get this, you send this to can you just stop greeting Lafayette Yagida? So as I'm saying, you send this to to my email address. I want to see 5 submissions. Just send it to my email address before the end of today. Immediately we finish this class, find a way to send it to email. I don't want to hear any complaint about my email address is not working. Open a new email address. If your current email address is not working, open a new email address. It takes you just 3 minutes, open a Gmail. And I need submission only from 5 people because I divided you into 5 groups. Okay? Thank you for that. Any other comments before we proceed? Somebody raised his hand the last time. If you want to speak, you can just unmute yourself and speak now.
Yes, sir, you have answered my question.
Okay, thank you. And then somebody was complaining about the network that he couldn't learn anything so far or something.
Yes, sir.
Yes. You can go ahead, Dalha, Madami. Madami, thank you. Do you want to say something, Dalha?
Amalami.
Okay, so if there is no other concern, then we can proceed with the class, yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Communication systems. Still again, communication. Remember the
Sir?
topic? Yes, you want to say something?
Sir,
Yes, go ahead.
good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, please, my complaint is concerning that module. We can't access the module for this thing, so we can't even get any kind of handout or material.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
then we are
And
going to take an alternative method. Your class rep told me that her phone is having problem. I'm not sure if she has fixed the phone now.
okay.
Otherwise, she needs to delegate another person that will communicate with me on WhatsApp.
Okay,
Sir, I'm here.
Okay, is your phone normal now?
My phone is not normal, but I will communicate with you.
Okay, good. No Allah.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so we found an alternative way if module is not allowing us to do what we're supposed to do. Yep.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so we talk about the communication systems. What are they? And then what are they used for? What is communication system? Communication, what is communication itself? Communication involves data transmission between devices. Okay? Data transmission between devices. And then we have some devices through which we use for communicating. So we have the machines doing data transmission, like the TV, the satellite, the radars. We spoke about this the last time. We have the radio communication, the radio signal, and this aspect we talked about modulation the last time. It falls under the radio signal, and the component of the radio receiver, like the input cycle, the modulation cycle, the low frequency amplifier, and the loudspeaker. All these are some of the things. They talk about the frequency bands, the FM. So the short waves, the medium waves, and the long wave, the ultra short waves. Take note of these frequencies because you might need them. Okay, and this KHZ, it means what kilo has, then kilo hours, then MHZ, it means mega hours. Okay, so these are some of the length, the length of the wavelengths of the frequency bands. Okay. And then still on the devices, the television communication, which you all have or you have come across it before. They are the one that you use in your houses for moving pictures and sound. And they involve the electronic signals transmitted through wires, optical fibers, or electromagnetic radiation. It depends on the type of TV we are using. In the olden days, we used to have this tube, the optical ones, but now it's going to LCD, the liquid crystal display, where everything is just flat. There is no tube again in the TV. Then the signal reception is also part of the TV for you to receive signal, especially in the olden days where you have this antenna outside and you are watching NTA, AIT. Now Go TV has taken over. You can see how life is progressing. STV, all these dishes they have taken over from the antenna that we used to use before. Then the satellite, we mentioned the satellite before, and we're talking about it again because it's very important. And at this point, you are going to have a small activity on the satellite and the radar. Okay, but let me quickly talk about the radar since we've talking about the satellite before. So for the radar is an acronym for radio detecting and ranging. Okay, a system used for detecting and locating the presence of objects like ships, vehicles, aircraft by radiating electromagnetic signals. You might have seen before or heard before that for each aeroplane, for each flight from the departing airport to the landing airport is monitored in the operation room that is located in Lagos or where the particular flight is coming from. And they monitor this flight one after the other, second after second, until it lands from where it took off from. So this is very important. And at times we hear plane crash and they could not locate the plane again. They could not hear anything. They could not communicate with the pilot again. So the electronic that they use in tracking the track of a plane is known as the radar. Maybe you have heard it is out of radar. The plane is out of radar and then it crashed. That is, they cannot monitor its movement any longer. The same thing with ships, the ships that the cargo ship that take cargo fish from Norway to Nigeria or from other part of Europe to Nigeria, or the one that takes Tokumbo cars from US to Nigeria or from UK to Nigeria, they are monitored. Okay, or the ship for vessels, the one that take our crude oil from Niger Delta to another part of the country or outside the country for refining. So they monitor the movement of the ship using the radar. So radar is another form of communication devices through which we monitor objects like ships, vehicles, and aircraft. It's different from the satellite. The satellite is located in the space, while the radar is within us here on the land. Okay? So scanning surrounding space with radio waves, and then it uses with radio waves and reflected beams providing information on the size, distance, and the altitude of object. So you have a kind of picture of what a radar look like, and maybe you have seen some of these things before. So these are the radars that we have in tracking our object. Okay, and we have a short activity now, which I'm going to put you in groups. We shall do the activity in 5 minutes. So the instruction is juxtapose satellite and radar in communication systems. This is an open activity. Open in the sense that you are allowed to press the phone, go to the Google, find the difference between satellite and radar, and they talk about the difference in your group. Then by the time I call you back from the group, I will call one person from each group to tell us the difference between satellite and radar. By the way, when I say juxtapose, I just mean compare. Use another vocabulary that you might see in my assessment. Juxtapose, it means what? Compare. That is what I mean by juxtapose. So compare satellite and what? And radar. And for you to do that, it means just talk about the differences between satellite and what? And radar. So in your group discuss, you can Google, you can talk about it. If you know it from your head, you can do anything. Make sure you come up with the differences between satellite and radar. Then after the activity, I will call one person from each group to tell me about the differences between satellite and radar. Is that okay, everybody? You can unmute yourself and talk if it is okay.
Yes,
Yeah, good. Thank you. So I'm sending you to your groups now. I hope now you know your activity. Your activity is to juxtapose satellite and radar in communication systems. Okay? Let's have.
Juxtapose means difference.
Is it okay, everybody? Juxtapose means difference or compare. Okay. So I'm sending you to groups. We have 5 rooms only. Open all rooms. So go to your rooms, everybody.
Wallahi na yau sati na yau kwana na takwas ma kai. Wallahi yau kwana na takwas na kwana. Na tsaro ya gida. Alhamdulillah.
Communication and device.
Okay, so you are all welcome back from the short activity. So now it is time to get feedback from you on the assigned tasks, which is to juxtapose between satellites and radar. So we have 5 rooms in total. So I expect feedback from 5 different people. Okay, so room 1 or group 1. Who is talking on behalf of room 1?
Sir?
Room 1. Faisal, are you speaking for room 1? Okay, room 2, if room 1 is not ready, who is speaking on behalf of room 2? Who is speaking on behalf of room 2?
So I will speak on behalf of room 1. Sir?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Room 1 and 2, who is speaking? Okay, room 3.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
So, the difference between satellite communication satellites and radar radar communication. Communication satellite is actually used for how will I even put this? For example, it is used for telecommunications, it is used for weather forecasting, radio and TV broadcast, while radar communication is actually used for scanning and detecting presence of objects like ships, like planes, like all those like ships and planes, sir, basically.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now you are speaking for which room?
Group 3, sir.
Group 3. Okay. Now group 4.
I'm speaking from group 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Both systems can detect stationary or moving objects, but the display presented on viewing screen can differ immensely. Satellite use a camera pictures, while a radar transmits an electronic signal that bounces off object and returns for analysis.
Yep. Thank you very much. Radio wave. Yes. Group 4, group 5.
Sorry, for group 1.
You are speaking for which group?
Group 1.
Okay, go ahead.
So for the satellite can be disturbed due to weather conditions, which makes at some points cannot actually get like clear images of some certain places. While for the radar, for the fact that they are transmitting maybe locations of the ship, plane, they transmit irrespective of weather conditions in some certain places because they are used to monitor the location of the ship, as they use it to regulate the locations of the ships and the planes, and also in the direction, like just like the air trafficking, they use it for the air trafficking. While the satellite is used to cover like images like globally, but sometimes due to weather conditions, they cannot be used properly.
Thank you very much. So there's a limitation to the satellite in terms of the weather condition. That's a very fantastic point. Yep. Group 4 and 5.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
So I'm speaking for group 5.
Okay, go ahead.
Satellite is used for for communication across the globe, globally, connect people on the globe. Meanwhile, for the radar, it's used for detecting signals across also the globe.
Well, brother.
Yep. Thank you very much. Then the last group. We're speaking for the last group.
Good morning, sir. I'm speaking for room 4.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, sir, satellites are objects.
Morning, sir. I'm speaking for group 4.
So we have someone already on for group 4. Go ahead first.
Okay. A radar moves to track a plane while a satellite is fixed and don't move.
Okay. Then
a
are you
satellite
adding
uses
more?
a camera to.
Yep.
Yes, sir. A satellite uses a camera to take picture, while a radar transmits an electronic signal and bounces off objects and returns for analysis.
Okay, you are reading from
both systems can detect stationary. No.
Okay, go ahead.
Continue now.
Go ahead now.
Okay.
Both systems can detect.
I said both stationary or moving objects, but the display presented on the screen differ. Like I know the same, they differ.
Okay, thank you very much. Who is adding more? What they have not said before?
Okay, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, I'm speaking for group 4, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
and the radar is used to detect unknown places in and aircraft, and it is satellite. It can be used by
It can be used for what?
the satellite. It can many people can have access to it, while the radar is only those stations like airport will have access to it.
Okay, thank you very much. Stephanos, you can go ahead and speak. Unmute yourself and speak. Stephanos, you need to unmute yourself before you speak.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Are you Stephanos?
Yeah, in group 2, sir. I want to add up to what I've said.
Okay, go ahead.
When we talk about satellite is an electronic device that has been fixed already in a stationary position, and it is used camera to capture pictures and other things. When radar is an electronic device used to transmitting electronic signals and also object and return back for analysis. A clear example of this radar, so many airports use radar to capture their plane both on air and land, and also NASA use radar too to capture. Both radar and satellites, these are systems that can be used to detect stationary and moving, but the displacement in them differ on the point of view. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for the contribution. I think we can round up this section of the class now. That is enough. We just talk about the fiber optics. That one is usually buried in the ground as a component of the communication devices. Then we have the integrated service network as also something that is necessary in communication. So we are going to have a short break. We shall have a short break for, let's say, 3 to 4 minutes, or let's say 7 minutes. By 10:25, we are going to continue the class. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we have a full picture of everybody in the front. And if you want to say something, you can say it for the next 7 minutes. And if you want to ease yourself or drink water, some of you don't drink coffee, you can grab a cup of coffee if you like. So in the next 6 minutes, the time is for you. You can ask me, I'll be here. You can ask me questions if you like, and then if you like, you can go to the toilet, ease yourself, and come back. We are going to continue by 10:25 with the lesson 3, okay? Thank you. You can unmute yourself if you want to say something.